All right, everybody. Welcome back to the live stream. Hope you're all doing very well. It's good to be here with you. Tonight I want to talk about something a little out of the ordinary for me over the past few years. I have been kind of taking stock of my various projects and operations and thinking about my plans for 2021 and what I'd like to do, what I'd like to focus on, and what I'd like to create and accomplish. And as many of you know, I've been doing philosophy courses since I quit academia. But, my real background in training is primarily in quantitative social science. That's what the bulk of my professional research was in. And that's really what I'm most trained in. If I really think about what do I know with greater sophistication that's more valuable than anything else, that actually requires long, difficult training and is concretely useful, it would be far and away my background in quantitative social science, or what you might also call applied statistics. So I'm not like a super math genius by any means whatsoever. Like I've never created statistical techniques, nothing like that. That's way above my pay grade. I'm actually a pretty, humanistic type of mind myself. I'm best at reading and writing and thinking with words. Math has never actually come easy to me at all. I'm not particularly good at it, but I did get a really good training in it. And basically what I got to thinking was that, I'm very passionate about philosophy and theory, which is why when I quit academia, I had this time and freedom to really explore philosophy in a way that I just wasn't able to as a professor, since my career track was in quantitative social science. And you have to compete so hard to just climb the ranks in academia. You really don't have time to do what you're personally interested in. But it got to thinking that, actually, because a lot of my friends are writers, or a lot of my friends maybe are underemployed in one way or another. And a lot of people want to learn how to code because learning to code is, in fact, a extremely legitimate and promising way to increase your prospects in life, whether that be getting a job or just impressing people and growing your audience or your network. And so I got to thinking that actually it's probably about time that I do some sharing and teaching of what I know when it comes to data analysis, programming, what now is fashionably known as data science, but really that's just a sexy term for a combination of statistics and data analysis and machine learning and a whole basket of other things that are kind of lumped under this term data science. But there are a few things that I understand about programming and what I'm just going to start calling data science. I'll use that term. It's a little cliche. It's a little just a kind of fashionable slogan that can mean a number of different things, but I'm going to use it since it's what a lot of people have in mind nowadays. What I got to thinking was basically that for the people who I know in my audience who actually really want to work hard on learning a new skill to significantly improve their life in some kind of way. I definitely believe in the significant and real transformative power of genuine philosophy and deep thinking when it comes to ideas or, the great books of history and all of that. So I'm definitely not poo-pooing that or anything or disrespecting that. But let's be honest, it's not a very immediate or direct way to actually increase your power when it comes to things like careers or, getting jobs or impressing someone within your internet networks and actually opening up more powerful relationships. And this is, let's be honest, it's just a part of life. This is something everyone needs to do, especially young people. I know there are a lot of people in my audience who are young men who, are struggling to find their way. I get emails from people asking things like, what's my advice for a young man in his 20s trying to find his way? I get those kinds of questions a lot. And yeah, just kind of reflecting on that and reflecting on my actual skill set as a trained professional, it became increasingly obvious to me that, yeah, I should actually just start sharing what I know and sharing my perspectives and my frameworks, because I do think that learning a bit of programming skills, but specifically learning how to program or code data analysis, is actually a uniquely attractive way to learn how to code. And I'm going to explain that, and I'm going to explain why for a few different reasons. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to hop on here tonight and just start talking about a little bit. This is going to be something I'm going to do for several months. I actually have started I made for everyone a free totally free, just a little mini online course. It just comes in a series of emails over the course of a few days, and it will literally walk you through how to, even if you know absolutely nothing about programming, or even you know absolutely nothing about math or statistics, it just basically is going to hold your hand and walk you through how to basically set up your environment on your computer, all free tools, completely free, and get started right away, basically using code, writing some code, some basic code. You'll start by just copying and pasting mine, and using that to analyze data and produce graphs, and also even posting them to, let's say, a blog or something like that. You know, for people out there, especially young men who aren't really sure what they should be learning, or they're not really sure about how to significantly and concretely, directly improve their skills and their human capital, if you want to call that, to increase their life prospects. I genuinely believe this is actually one of the most immediate and relatively easy to start ways to learn to code. And so and not just learn to code, but to build a portfolio really of work. And that shows you have some skills and shows that you know a thing or two. That is one of the most powerful ways pretty much to get anything you want in the practical world. So it's building a portfolio of work where you can put online, like prove that you know how to do something, and you have a certain knowledge, a certain expertise, and learning how to code data analysis, specifically in a program I'm going to talk to you about primarily over the next several months, but starting tonight, called R. R is uniquely attractive for learning how to code because it's relatively very, very easy. And in fact, if you talk to a real programmer, you talk to people who are really good at Python or really good at Ruby or whatever, and they'll kind of say R is not really a real programming language, honestly. In some ways it's not. It's what they call like a very, very high level, meaning it's very simplified, but it's nonetheless a programming. It is programming, of course. You do write code. So on some basic level, it is writing code for sure, and it has all of the standard challenges of writing code. The complexity, the logic, the abstractness. It's just relatively easy because a lot of the functions that you write in R are very, very simplified, abstracted. Whereas, like if you write C++ or Ruby or Python or whatever, you have to basically just fill out more details by hand is a kind of simple way to think about it. Whereas with R, you can do really powerful stuff by just writing like a couple lines of code, and it's relatively straightforward. So that's the one reason R, I think, is really, really attractive as a way to learn code. A lot of programmers might say, oh, that's not a real programming language, but it absolutely is, like coding and programming. So it's a great way to get started, but it's just way easier. And the other thing, though, is that the actual programming or development environment, meaning the actual tools and apps that you use to get started, they are also way easier than a lot of the competitors. So the only other programming language I have any experience with is Python. And Python is often recommended as one of the easiest languages to learn. Not that it's easy, but it's often said that it's a good one to start with for a few different reasons. But the thing with Python is it's difficult to get up and running. There are a lot of snags that come up. So if you're working from a textbook or you're working from online tutorials or whatever the case might be, you're going to be banging your head against the desk a lot when some random snag, some random error pops up. Even just setting it up on your computer is going to be a kind of challenging and might take you some time, and you might get discouraged quickly, even learning Python. It's really hard to get into a groove of actually being able to produce cool stuff. And you have to be able to produce cool stuff to feel like it's worth it, to be having fun. And what's awesome about R is not just that the language itself is easier than most languages, it's that the tools you use are super quick to set up, and they just don't really have as many errors. You're much less likely to have a problem, basically. It's much more integrated. It's much more self-contained. And so for all these reasons, it's a really, really fast, easy way to get your feet wet, actually writing some code and getting familiar with the logic of writing code and running code. And you get to see real results pretty quick, like very quickly. So yeah, that's my perspective. And the reason that I know R mostly, and it's by far the programming skill that I'm most adept in, is because it's really good in academia. It's really good for research purposes. So you can do some things with it when it comes to like building apps or whatever, but it's not really for that. It's mostly it's all about statistical analysis and data analysis. So things like making graphs, right? And you can do tons and tons of different kinds of really powerful data analyses. And this is the other reason why I think R is really cool for especially people in my audience. People in my audience are more likely to be, interested in philosophy and science and different types of social or political questions. And if you're interested in different types of intellectual questions, then R is definitely the best way for you to learn how to code, because it's the programming language that is going to get you the most leverage most rapidly to actually being able to produce tangible insights into, various data sets that you might want to explore. And it is an amazing time right now to be a data analyst, because there are tons and tons of free but big and amazing, fascinating data sets that you can easily just find on the internet. So for all of these reasons, I really got to thinking about it. And I was like, I have to teach my audience how to do this. At least the people in my audience who want to learn a new skill, significantly increase their own human capital, and learn like a genuine new skill that can give them significantly increased power to understand data, but also to, build a portfolio, increase their, career prospects or whatever. Because I hear from a lot of you, I get emails from you all, some of you, asking these types of questions. So yeah, basically just started to think about that. So what I did was I made this totally free online course. I'm just going to throw that link there, otherlife.co/data. It's totally free. It's just a series of emails, and it's literally going to walk you through like how to set up R. You literally just download it. It's totally free. And then you use a tool called R Studio, which is this nice, again, totally free, easy to set up programming environment. They call it a interactive development environment. So it's like an app that makes it a little bit easier to execute the code, to run the code, and it gives you some kind of nice utilities to make sense out of that. So yeah, so what I want to do actually for the rest of this, I'm going to make this a short one because I just wanted to basically jump on here and start talking about this, because I've decided it's going to be something I'm going to work on and try to help you all with over the next several months. Basically, if any of you are listening to this and you're like, yeah, cool, I want to learn a new legit concrete technical skill and make some badass data analyses, then stay tuned, because I'm going to be doing segments like this for the next few months probably. And for now, I'm just starting with this totally free course, which you can just get up and running with. If you get into a problem with it, you just reply to the email and I'll help you out. So what I want to do actually now for the rest of this is I want to actually just give you a quick look at it. Like I want to show you how ridiculously easy it is to write your first line of code and actually get insights, and maybe insights is too strong, but to get actual gratification and results. So that's what I want to here. I haven't been looking at the comments. Let me see if there's anything out here. C says Python and R are life changers in the academic sphere. Yeah, I think especially R, because it's significantly easier. Now, if you do like more advanced machine learning, you might want to switch into Python for certain types of like production environments. Python is going to be more powerful and a little bit, generally more powerful. But I mean, R is pretty well developed nowadays, that for individuals such as yourselves who just want to start analyzing data and you want to learn to code and you want to be able to create cool insights and post your work online and make better arguments, understand how the world works a little bit better, but also prove to your friends or, girls or employers that you know a thing or two and you have real technical skills. This is literally like the easiest, fastest way that you can fast forward to actually having a portfolio of coding and of real results. So I honestly just don't think people don't know about this. Like a lot of people have heard of Python or Ruby and they're like, yeah, one day I should probably try to learn to code. And then you try to learn Python and you get all these snags and it's just like demoralizing. A lot of people have never even heard of R. And that's kind of why I feel very motivated to show it to you, because it's my expertise and it's fucking awesome, to be honest. So all right, we got Piper says Solidity is the only language worth learning. That's for the Ethereum blockchain. Yeah, totally. If you can learn it, that's awesome. Learning solidity is going to be way harder than learning R. So just take note of that. Godward says, ever think we should just learn plumbing or a trade? Yeah, totally. It's a great time to learn a trade. If you're a good plumber, make mad money nowadays. Especially if you're like organized. If you're like an actual disciplined person who's ambitious and capable of, being responsible and showing up to things on time and building systems and managing them, you can make a killing as a plumber. Because no disrespect to plumbers, but in the trades, a lot of people who can do those manual skills are often not great at running businesses. They're not great necessarily at being, super efficient. So if you are efficient and disciplined and industrious and conscientious, learn how to be a plumber and just own the plumbing trade. Totally. All right. So I want to give you, someone says, I don't think that R is uncommon or unpopular. Yeah, no, it's totally widely used. It's just, I think for a lot of people who think they want to learn to code, it's not often thought of as a good starting point, because it's often not seen as a real programming language. It's kind of like a programming language with training wheels is how like more sophisticated coders will sometimes look down on it, which I completely understand because it is so easy. But you can do so much insanely powerful stuff, especially if you're an intellectual. And that's, what I'm all about. I'm about, truth seeking. And if you're interested in philosophy or just, knowledge and intellectual topics for the sake of the intellectual life, then R is definitely the programming language you should learn, because it's best for teasing out actual knowledge in the world. In other words, data analysis. It's by far the easiest, fastest way to do that. So anyway, I just want to give you a quick look at it. I'm just going to share my screen. This won't be a long stream. I just wanted to jump on here and kind of start talking about this, because I've decided it's going to be a focus for the next few months, something I want to accomplish this year. So yeah, check it out. So basically, if you go download R and install it, totally free, just Google download R and follow the links. And then you download R Studio. That's what it's called. Just Google it, download, find it, download it. Totally free. And then you just open up R Studio is pretty much all you have to do. And if you do that, here's what you're going to see. Let me share my screen. Booyah. Let me remove my. All right. Yeah, so it should look like that. You can change the theme colors as you like. And basically, I'll give you a quick little tour. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. I guess maybe you can. But in this top left here, it basically is where you write code. If you open a new script, a script is just a text file where you write the code, right? That's in the top left by default. And then down here is what they call the console. So this is where you can kind of type in the code. Like if you do 2 plus 2. Oh, you can't really see that very well, can you? Let me change the theme. I didn't think about this. Where preferences? I will make it a little easier to see. Let's try that. Is that good? Yeah, let's try that. All right, that should be a little easier to see. There you go. So yeah, if you just go down to the console is where you can actually type code into it interactively and get results immediately. So for instance, R accepts basic math. So if you just type like 2 plus 2. By the way, the course, the free course at the link will walk you through actual data analysis. So yeah, just type 2 plus 2, right? And you'll see 4. So yeah, that's all the console is where you actually can type in code and run it and see results immediately. This is where up in the script is where you write code that you accumulate. You make a whole document and then you can run the whole document at the same time. Up here in the top right is where objects will appear. So if you make, a data frame or a vector of numbers or something like that, you can have these objects that you create and then manipulate, and the objects will accumulate over here. So like, for instance, you could do like, make a thing called df for data frame, right? And then whatever you can do, like if you put in C for concatenate and then do like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 or something like that. This is just an example. It's not actually even a data frame, it's just called a df. You see an object pops up here. It's just a vector. All we did was make a vector of numbers, 1, 2, 3. You get the idea. You can delete by doing RM. Oh. Yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to what you're looking at on this screen. And down here is if you make plots, they'll pop up down here, graphs in other words. So yeah, so basically all we've done is open up RStudio. Again, it's just two totally free tools. R, which is the actual back end, it's all the power of the language which you have to install. That's all behind the scenes, and then RStudio is just the thing that sits on top that you interact with, which is what we're looking at here. And we've literally done nothing else. We've just opened up this totally free tool. This is what you see right out of the gate as soon as you open it up. And you can be making your own data analyses on the first day. You can be making graphs and exporting them and sharing them on Twitter or wherever you want. Obviously, like anything, it takes a long time to get good, to be able to produce really cool, unique, original stuff. Obviously, that's going to take time. But I don't think there's any programming language that you can fire up this quickly and actually produce something this quickly and this easily in a way that's so kind of error proof. Like you can do it pretty easily in Python, but if you've ever tried Python, like as a newbie, you're going to encounter these little snags, and it can be really demoralizing. So let me give you an example. We're just going to do some super basic stuff. This is the kind of stuff I would encourage you to do the very first time. Like you could literally be doing this right now, even if you're stupid, even if you're like a total loser and you feel like you've never accomplished anything in life and you're an idiot and you feel like you could never, ever learn to code. Literally download RStudio and open RStudio after you have to install them both. But if you can be a gamer on a Discord server, like you can do what I'm doing here. And so literally you can just do it with me. You see how easy it is. So R comes built in with some data sets that are just kind of sitting in the background. You don't even have to load them. So it's so simple. Like the cars data set, for instance, if you type head, just the word head, don't make raunchy jokes. I see them coming. Be wholesome. And then write cars within parentheses. So head parentheses cars, just like that. And just hit Command Enter. You see down here the results. And this will just, what the head function does is it just gives you the first few lines of the data frame or the data set. So what we can do is to be able to see it in the environment, we can make a new object called df for data frame. And then you could do head cars, and it will store these first 6 lines in a new object called df. Let's go ahead and command. Now you can see it over here. If you click it, you can explore it in this kind of spreadsheet view. All right. So obviously it's not very interesting, but it's just simple. And that's all we're trying to do. It's a little toy data set that's used in tons of examples. Relates the speed of a car to the distance a car travels or something like that. I think that's what it is. Okay. So yeah, all super simple. And but let's actually do something with it, right? If you have two numerical variables, you can actually do a lot with that. You can try to tease out the relationship. What's the relationship between those two variables, right? Also, but I just want to show you some more like super basic things. So if you type df, you can just view the whole thing. Yeah, it'll show you that down there. But you can also just type cars and see the whole thing. So what it actually is 50 rows that reflects speed and distance. That's what we're looking at. So it's just a small little data set of 50 observations relating speed and distance, the two variables. Yeah, let's play around with it, right? A few different things you can do. For instance, you could just make a quick little plot. If we want to just make a little scatter plot, all you have to do is type plot. And then what we do is you state the name of the data set, cars, and then you use a money sign. And then you see it'll auto suggest the variable names, speed or dist here. Again, it's like these nice little utilities that make RStudio so nice. It's so much easier than Python for this reason. It has all these really slick little things that just make it. They're like bumper rails. It's like bumper bowling kind of. It's the bumper bowling of computer programming is what R is. And that's why it's awesome to learn. If you're trying to impress some fancy like data scientist at Facebook or something like that, yeah, they're not going to be impressed. But if you just want to actually learn knowledge and produce badass original analysis of a ton of different data sets and build a body of work that's technically sophisticated and is technically programming, then man, is it awesome. So yeah, we'll just do like dist, right? So if you just do that, it'll give you a view on just that one variable. But that's just looking at the index means the row numbers. So that's not really useful. It's just showing you, what does that even mean? We don't even know. So that's meaningless. But what you really want to do is not compare, but you want to plot distance by speed to see if there's to visually see if there's a relationship that you can identify. So to do that, you just do speed. So just note what we're doing here. We're typing the name of the data set or data frame, and then putting a money sign, and then we're putting the name of the variable within that data frame that we want to use. And so if you just type plot, parentheses, and then you put these two variables separated by a comma, denoting the right data set for each one, then all you have to do is hit enter. And now what you're looking at down here is, this is already a kind of analytical insight. D. Lars says, is Linux worth diving into? If you can, sure, have fun. But things get complicated. This is the major problem with all fancy, cool computer programming type stuff, is it gets complicated. You're going to hit snags. You're going to hit errors. And it can just be demoralizing. So if you have the skills and you enjoy that kind of troubleshooting, then totally have fun with it. Play around with whatever you want. But what I'm trying to communicate to you all, especially those of you who maybe feel like you're not able to learn how to code, is that R is amazing because it's really hard to break it. It's really quite basic. And look, you can get results like this graph. You can get this graph, which is something, right? With literally just this one line of code. You didn't have to load anything. You didn't have to do anything. There's like nothing to mess up. You just literally open RStudio, you type in this one line, and you're already producing outputs. So, it's not too interesting yet, unless you happen to be doing research on the relationship between car speeds and car distances. But you can see here that there's a positive relationship, right? As the distance goes up, the speed goes up. So let's just say hypothetically, this was something that was substantively interesting to you. Well, guess what? You just export it, do save as image, give it a title there, and then click save, and then you have a graph. All right, and you can post that graph to Twitter, post that graph to your blog, write about what's in that graph, and in your own modest way, you can say that you know how to code and that you coded that graph, you programmed that graph. Because look, this is a line of code, and that line of code is what produced that graph. So this is just a tiny, tiny little taste of how smooth and slick and easy RStudio is, just to kind of get you thinking about it. The course that I did, that I made for you, the totally free course, the link otherlife.co/data, it will just send you one email in 5 days in a row that will actually show you how to use this to produce a real graph that's actually interesting on social topics. I use a data set called Gapminder, which is this big data set that has lots of different interesting variables. So it's pretty much not that much harder than this, but if you follow each step, there's basically I give you a little task each day, 5 days in a row. And it's pretty much as easy as this. You can just copy my code into RStudio and click run. I've been doing Command Enter, but you can also just, if you see this button right here, run at the top right in this top left panel, you can do it that way also. And if you follow each step in the five-day email course, at the end of the week, you will have a legit graph that analyzes something interesting. And then you can share it to Twitter or post it to your blog or whatever. And I genuinely feel pumped to teach you all this, because I love teaching philosophy and I love reading and writing about philosophy and theory and crazy political ideas and all that. But I'm not kidding at all when I say that this can, for those of you out there who may be struggling to figure out what you should do next and not sure how you should, develop skills, or you just need some kind of challenge, you need something, maybe you're feeling unmotivated, or you're feeling like you don't know what to do next in your life, especially if you're a young person, it's kind of just feeling maybe stuck or something like that, which I get emails from some of you saying that. this is literally for you. This is like the most valuable thing. That is the quickest and easiest powerful thing that I can give you, pretty much. And that's why I decided to do it. And that's why I made this free email course. I probably will later want to do something like bigger and more sophisticated, maybe like some big, more serious course, and that, you know, that I might like want to charge money for or whatever. But for now, like, I just want to basically teach this stuff all free, make this free course. And I want to show you all how easy it is, and really encourage you and empower you to start analyzing your own data and programming really your own data analyses. So this was really just to jump on here and get the conversation going, to, yeah, put it in your head, show you what you can do, how easy it is, and encourage you to get started now, play around. All right. So that's all I got. It's getting late here. I just wanted to make this a quick one. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Subscribe, reply, tell me what you think. If you have any questions, you can reply to one of the emails in the course, and I'll be happy to help you out. All right. So that's all I got tonight. Take it easy, folks. Later.